Welcome to the What's New for Data and AI. My name is Firat, and I'm here with my colleagues, Vincent, and also Matheus, who will be taking over from me as we talk through the session. So we have a packed session, actually. So what we'll do is we'll first cover why everyone is really looking to do data and AI investments, how they can get value out of that. And we'll then go and look into some of the innovation that supports the need as well. Everyone is talking around AI these days, right? It is not a secret. If you go down the exhibition hall, every single vendor has something related to AI. But how can you get the value out of this? How can you really see your AI projects going into production and get the value is really the key for that. And we'll be touching base through some of the challenges that we have been observing, and we'll be touching base how things can come together really to solve these challenges as well. With the rapid acceleration and we're tied to generative AI this year, data and AI platform teams are really presented with new challenges. And there are a lot of challenges, firstly, around inability to enable the organization at scale. Usually you find there are few teams who can traditionally do ML projects. Also, it is challenging to manage the risks in an increasingly complex environment as well. Which tools do you use? There are lots of applications and tool bases there. Also, at the same time, which ones are going to make the most impact in your organization is a key. You can see this as a multi-objective optimization problem in a way, right? Where do you invest and where do you get the most out of it? And it is really challenging to keep up with the pace of innovation. Even if we look at the foundational models and stuff, you'll be hearing that there are a lot of them be coming out all the time. Do you use models with fewer parameters or more parameters and such as well, right? And sorry, I'm going wrong direction. And I've been warned about this. The clicker, you press down, it is not intuitive. And this presents opportunities for us as well, right? So if we can bring all users together, if we make all users as part of the data and AI ecosystem, and if we manage these risks and challenges that we see through a governance that goes not from the data side, but also to the AI side as well, we'll be dealing with some of the complexities that we see. And if we provide the users and the teams with the most innovative and the latest applications and the tool stack, they'll be able to succeed. And this really brings us how you can get the most out of from your data and AI projects. It's really a team sport. It shouldn't be that you have a data engineering team and you have a data science team and they don't work together. We really need to bring them together and they should really work together. But all of this can only happen if you have the tool sets that supports that, right? The tools that you have should be able to allow collaboration, but it should also enable the governance of it as well. And you should really invest into the solutions that keep you really ahead of everyone else. There's an opportunity cost. I spoke recently to one of the leading banks, and their CDO told me that they invested into just over 100 ML projects, and only 5 of them gone into production. There's a huge opportunity cost there, right? Because they weren't sure whether they had the right governance in place, for example, to be able to see and apply and answer also the regulators' requirements as well. And we are also seeing this from the analyst community, and everyone is really aligned with the same as well. So the first is you really need to set the foundation for your data and AI ecosystem. And let's talk through that a little bit. Data warehouses have been around for a long time. They have been around for really 4 to 5 decades. They have really helped us to answer what was in the past. They have been really, really successful, but they have been really, expensive as well. And they were really focused on one specific task. Then within the past decade, or a little bit more than past decade, we started having the data lakes, right? So the data lakes came to address some of the challenges that the data warehouses themselves had. And they were really looking to answer some of the questions, not just what was happening in the past, but also what is happening now as well. Still, most of them are not looking into what is going to happen next. And that's where the lake houses comes. And that's where an environment that you have, that you can keep multimodal data, and also you can have different personas all operating in the same ecosystem. The good news is that our data cloud, data and AI cloud really fits into this. We have the building blocks that allows you to have that AI lakehouse within Google Cloud. It starts with the complete suite of the native solutions. These are mostly managed solutions, and it gives you the enterprise capabilities. But in this talk, we'll be focusing on just the data and AI portion of that, right? So the core for the data is, within our ecosystem, is BigQuery, and within BigQuery, around BigQuery, we have the Dataproc and Dataplex, which deals with the Hadoop side and open source, as well as the metadata management as well. And on the other side, we have the Vertex AI, which gives you all the capability, access to all the capabilities from the AI side of things, which my colleague, Vincent, is going to take you through some of the announcements around that. And the architecture still stays very similar to what you would have. You still need to bring the data in. You need to process that data, you need to understand that data, and you need to put the railguards around that within your organization to be able to really answer some of the challenges that we mentioned at the beginning. While it's doing that though, it should also be able to accessible, as I mentioned, to most of the data personas that you have as well, and going beyond the data personas with some of the new capabilities that was announced yesterday with Duet AI is what we are also seeing too. And let's talk a little bit around that. But if we take a step back, in here you see two ends of data and AI platform. Traditionally, many organizations are divided into a data organization and an AI organization, right? So you have the key data engineering tasks, which you bring the data in, you cleanse the data, you transform the data. Then on the other hand, then you start doing some data analysis around that. You do exploration, wrangling, and pre-processing. And that data goes and fits into the ML tasks that you might have. You would be developing your models. You would be doing first your feature engineering, selecting what are the key features that would have the most impact on the problem that you are solving and the model that you are dealing with. You train your model and you experiment around it. And this is an iterative process. And then once you are happy, you deploy, right? And then you serve the use cases that you have. Again, this is an iterative process. You learn continuously, and you go and alter that. If this acts as a separate entities in terms of the tool set and in terms of how the team sets up, it becomes very challenging. And let's talk around how some of the tools that allows you to bridge that gap together as well. Okay? So one of the things that you can use the AI/ML is, if you are a developer, for example, you can go and call an API. You don't need to train any model, and you can get access to things. For example, it can be a vision API. You can go and call a vision API from Vertex, right? It will be able to give you what are the entities within that unstructured data. On the other end of the spectrum, you can go and build your model. You can go and train the model and use specific capabilities that we provide through the Vertex side. Most of the users will come into the middle though, more around the AutoML and what we call a BigQuery ML, which I'm going to talk in a minute around it as well, whereby you automate some of the tasks. You are automating the training part, for example, and you are doing more of the inference. And this comes back with all the capabilities around the LLMs as well these days. It eliminates the need to build and manage data pipelines. let's say we are using BigQuery here, and then generative AI models. It also streamlines the governance and helps you to reduce the risk of data loss by avoiding the data movement. It reduces the need for, writing and, managing custom codes as well. Don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that you shouldn't be doing that. I'm saying that most of the, teams, your analysts and such, who are at, more numbers within the organization, right, will be able to be part of that. Your ML engineer is still developing that and making that available through this environment, and your testing goes and scales much further than you could do just with the data scientists and the ML engineers. Okay? And it really enables you to break the barriers, and it allows you to do this in a secure way. And there's so many, use cases around this, right? So you can, as I said, you can call directly unstructured data and process, unstructured data through that, whether it is coming as text or image or as a vision. And there's so many, applications. What it does is, though, it gives you the capability to do the prompt engineering from the SQL language, right? You are accessing BigQuery ML through a data warehouse traditionally, or a data lake traditionally, and it gives you the ability to do the prompt engineering and gives you that creativity to the analysts who are not traditionally, focused on doing the ML tasks, right? And one of the customers, in fact, we published a blog this morning as well around this. One of the things that they are doing is they take the data, the customer interactions that comes through, they ingest this into the lake through BigQuery, and they use LLMs directly from SQL. They look into the sentiment, and they, generate an email back to the customer, right? This is a real enterprise use case. That's how you bring data and AI together, okay? And there's more capabilities as well that will be available to the users. For example, by using Duet AI, you are also bridging the gap between the personas, which I'll touch base in a minute in a bit more detail. If you are a data engineer, and if you want to look into a model for classifying some of the data that you are receiving, you might not know, you might not have experience on doing that before. By using something like Duet directly from the interface, it allows you to generate that code, and you'll be able to do that yourself. It does the code completion. It helps you to find out errors, but it is focused on the enterprise use cases. What that really gives us is it gives us the ability to many users coming together and becoming part of the data and AI ecosystem. When we look at it, who can actually use AI today, right? Very few can research ML algorithms and new ML applications, right? Probably, tens of thousands. A step up is the engineers. Still not in huge numbers, but probably we have a few million ML engineers out there who will be able to build the models, right? The next is we have tens of millions of developers who can come and call APIs. You can bring them and make them as part of your data and AI ecosystem. And also we have analysts, right? Analysts understands the business better than most of the engineers like myself, right? They have the context of the business. If you give them the ability to have access to very sophisticated, ML models, they'll be able to give the most value to you as well. The idea is bringing all of the personas and making them part of the data and AI ecosystem. And we can, really expand that, and we can look into, how this democratization of the, personas goes beyond as well. It comes from the tools. If the users are using similar tools, right? If they're accessing the same data sets, which is also governed based on the roles and everything that they have, they'll be able to achieve what I have mentioned before. And we also announced the BigQuery Studio. which is based on Colab Enterprise, which Vincent is going to get a little bit more detail. But it is a single unified workspace that allows SQL and notebook interface for all data users in one place. You can use SQL, Python, Spark, JavaScript, or even natural language. You can go and describe because it has Duet AI built in as well. It gives you the ability to use open source frameworks like pandas and stuff to prepare and train the models that you have. This really leads into more improved collaboration, but at the same time, with the data engineering capabilities that comes with the data quality and data lineage and such through the BigQuery side and Dataplex side as well, you can have this governance applied, all of that. The key is though to focus on maximizing the productivity. And it goes beyond that, everyone is talking around vector embeddings and such, how you can make access to all the vector indexes through traditional data sources that you are using. Well, the good thing is that you can see the vectors as the long-term memory for LLMs, and now with the capabilities that we are bringing up, you'll be able to use directly through SQL vector capabilities, just like geospatial and such as well. But before I hand over to Vincent, let's take a different view on what I have been talking around. The top bit is usually what data analysts and data engineers are focused on, right? But what we are seeing these days more and more is they are being asked to also do what the bottom bit, the traditional data scientists and ML engineers have been doing. The green boxes here represents the ML, and the blue boxes represents the data analytics. And we'll be seeing more and more impact, and we'll be seeing more of this happening as well. And with that, I would like to hand over to Vincent, who will take you through more on the bottom part of this. Thank you.
Great. Thanks, Firat. So as everything Firat was talking about, we can have far more impact by working together, bringing skills and context across the organization into the data and AI workflows. So what's the thread that really connects everything? So with Colab Enterprise, that's where we're making the thread across the data and AI cloud. So Colab, the public version from Google Research, is already used by over 7 million users. But we have been receiving feedback where users, to really use it in enterprise production use cases, they need the right security controls that are consistent across their implementations on Google Cloud. So that's why we're bringing Colab Enterprise into the Google Cloud environment with all the security controls customers and IT expect. It powers the notebook experience within BigQuery Studio, which you just saw. It's also the core experience within Vertex AI. So it's the same notebook behind the scenes. And we're actually bringing this interface to more surfaces on the data and AI cloud, such as Dataproc and Dataflow. Those will come in the future. This all really drives collaboration and productivity for data analysts, data engineers, data scientists, machine learning engineers, and it's great for IT because it's all the security controls they would expect. Beyond that, I also wanted to talk about integrations between Vertex AI and Dataplex. So this brings organization-wide search and discovery of models and data sets to democratize access and drive collaboration across an organization. This also comes at a low cost, since you only pay for usage of the data catalog API and any business metadata added via the catalog. I also wanted to touch on some advancements we have with our pipelines service and accompanying resources. So similar to what we did with Model Garden, where we've exposed over 100 different models from Google, open source, and third party, we're bringing Vertex AI pipeline templates in the gallery. So your users can go find resources that Google has already developed pipelines for based on best practices we've seen internally and externally. This also democratizes access to standardized templates so that you know your teams are working consistently. We also added the ability for data scientists and machine learning engineers to schedule pipeline runs so that you're always and continuously training your most important models. So the next topic we want to talk about is how to extend your data and AI enterprise readiness strategy for generative AI. So after a lot of thought, we ended up with this point of view on how MLOps evolves with Gen AI. And we've built capabilities that seamlessly plug into Vertex AI's platform and bring this all to life. Every blue box is something new that you would have to think about and that we've also thought about. And that's what we're exploring today and all the capabilities we're releasing today. So first, if we start with discovery, this is really where your users discover models. So we have to kind of ask ourselves, and you would ask yourselves questions around what models do my users have access to? How can they find those? Who has access to what? How do I know how they were curated and who curated them? When it comes to customization through tuning, you need to know how your data is being used in that process, how your tuned kind of adapters might be used. When it comes to distillation, your organization can get more out of a foundation model by using less of it, which will increase the performance, reduce cost, and reduce latency. And when it comes to prompts, you need to know how those are being used by all the services you're using. And for retrieval and taking action, how do you know that how do you implement Gen AI to interact with other Gen AIs, including taking action, such as booking a plane ticket based on a chat conversation? And when it comes to evaluating and monitoring these new powerful models, you have to take additional steps to make sure everything is going correctly. And for curating data, high-quality examples for specific tasks and for your domain are even more important to get more power out of these capabilities. So I'll talk about a lot of the new announcements that we have in the context of these 4 pillars around our approach for enterprise readiness. It's all around data governance and privacy, security and compliance support, reliability and sustainability, safety and responsibility. I'll walk through each of these pillars and bring in the highlights there. So first, on data governance and privacy. So we're helping you extend your governance and privacy to the customization of generative AI. So you've heard this consistently throughout Google Cloud Next, but customer data is processed and stored securely along the way, and it's not used to improve our models unless you explicitly ask us to. This includes your input prompts, responses, and adapter layers. I wanted to highlight tuning. So we give all of our customers the same foundation models, but we also know that you have a lot of proprietary data that you can use to differentiate yourselves. So we've released the capability for tuning, where you can use a little bit of your data to tune our foundation models, which creates an adapter layer that sits on top that you have complete control over. That adapter layer is not used or given to any other customers. It's just something for you, and you can delete it at any time. It just adds an additional layer of customization on our standard foundation models. The next things that we wanted to cover were prompts. So just continuing to reassure you about how Google thinks about prompts. We secure these at every step, and they're only used to generate output for generative AI, and we don't use them to train our models. And on extensions, this is the capability that you can use to connect to other real-time data sources and to drive action, such as booking that plane ticket based on a chat conversation. On security and compliance support, we're helping you manage new artifacts and parameters. I wanted to highlight our new version of Feature Store, which was built from the ground up on top of BigQuery. And that makes it so that you can inherit all the access and governance controls you already have for BigQuery, which is great for IT. It alleviates data movement, which also lowers costs. And we now have leading low-level latency for features, so that's 2 milliseconds. That's great for real-time use cases, especially in services like retail. Beyond that, for tuning management, so tuning is extremely important now. So by using our Vertex AI pipeline service, you can orchestrate the tuning jobs, manage those jobs, and all the outputs get stored into model registry, which is how your organization can discover and collaborate. Additionally, we also implemented a lot of new security controls, and we know you need this to use these things in production. So VPC security controls, CMEC, which is customer managed encryption keys, access transparency, and data residency. On reliability and sustainability, we're helping you evaluate performance and manage infrastructure. I wanted to highlight the new evaluation service, which has two new capabilities. The first capability is automatic metrics, which is how you can evaluate the performance of a foundation model against your ground truth data. And the second is automatic side-by-side, which is how you can compare evaluations of two different models against each other. Beyond that, we have Ray on Vertex, which is a managed version of Ray, and it extends the open source version of Ray. But it integrates very nicely into Vertex AI, so training, prediction, MLOps, and security controls. For accelerators and assurance, we have several new TPUs and GPUs that are supported across Vertex AI, and then the ability to create long-running jobs in training, which will help you assure that capacity and have lower startup times. On safety and responsibility, we're helping you monitor and moderate the generated output. I wanted to highlight safety scores, which provides scores based on different categories that might be harmful. And as customers, you can use these to maybe tag content before it goes to your users or block it completely. Beyond that, so we have recitation checks, which provide sources when responses from our foundation models are very similar to those in the training set. So you can use those and display those however you'd like. And then for grounding, to help mitigate against hallucinations, we enabled you to ground our LLM and foundation model responses in factual data that you already have yourselves. So with that, we also wanted to touch on why it's so important to make investments that keep you ahead of the pack. Without needing large teams of machine learning researchers just focused on R&D, finding a good partner is critical. So I wanted to just briefly highlight this one more time. Everything in blue is something that you or we would need to think about. And we have very large teams of data scientists, ML researchers who are always constantly thinking about how to do this for ourselves within Google for all the different products such as Google Search and YouTube. And we take all of our learnings and we make that productized through Vertex AI. So you'll always be at the leading edge with us. And this is just beyond the amount of people we have. I just wanted to kind of highlight and touch on some of our history here that kind of proves this track record. I know you can't read the details, and that's not as important, but it really just shows the timeline. And this all started with Hadoop, where in 2003 and 2004, we published papers on Google File System, and that was inspiration for Hadoop. Then in 2017, it was Transformers, where we published the seminal paper, Attention is All You Need, and that really generated a lot of the interest for generative AI that you see today. And we continue to double down on innovating in AI. So just to recap, here's a lot of the new capabilities that we talked about today. We encourage you to check out some of the highlighted sessions later today. I'll give people a second to take pictures. And so before I hand it off to Matheus, who's our customer who's going to share more about their platform, we want to leave you with this new AI readiness assessment, which includes generative AI. You can scan this QR code, complete the survey, and you'll get a sense of where you're at in your maturity level. And you'll receive prescriptive recommendations on things that you can do across people, process, and tools on how to go to the next level. So with that, I'd like to welcome Matheus from Grupo Boticario, who's going to share more about how they use data and AI to meet their customers where they are. Thanks.
Thank you, Vincent. Good. Hi, everyone. Hello, I'm Matheus Garibalde from Grupo Boticario. Let me go to the next slide. So I come here to show a business case using most of the tools that these guys just present to you to say that that's true, it works, right? I'm a data and AI director in Grupo Boticario. Let me first introduce the group. Who is Grupo Boticario? Grupo Boticario is a cosmetic company. Basically, we sell perfumes, makeups, skincare products. We are the biggest cosmetic company in Brazil. We are multi-brand. As you can see here in the bottom of the slide, most of our brands that we sell. We are omnichannel. It's a very complex ecosystem there. We work with B2B and B2C, and we are in the trend process. We develop most of the product that we sell since the R&D until the stores, right? And talking about Grupo Boticário numbers, we have 3 industries in Brazil, 8 logistic warehouses, 7 offices, plus more than 45,000 employees, direct and indirectly. Last year, we sold $4.9 billion, and we are working with around 4.8 thousand stores. And regarding these 4.8 thousand stores, the business case that I would like to present to you today, because it's a very complex, as I mentioned, and we have a very nice and big challenge data problem here. So, starting from the question, once we have all this information, all this number of stores, what look to be the perfect or optimized retail footprint using AI? We have questions like, what should be the customer behaviors front of our stores? What should be, what happened with our competitors? Should we open a big store in a big city or in a small city? We have a lot of questions, and despite of that, we also have to answer is how we optimize our stores that we are open today, right? And regarding that, we divided the solution of this problem in 6 steps that I will present to you guys now. All of them, we are using Google Cloud Futures here. The first one, in the future, we analyzed more than 2.7 thousand futures regarding this problem, including some business knowledge to understand what we should do. Futures using big queries, and also a very large future store solution. In the second step, we go through the prediction model. We create a forecast model to predict what's the potential sales of each region in Brazil that we should have. And with this potential, we create a heat map in Brazil where we should invest or not our efforts. Right? But it's not only about that. We should understand about, in the third step, our competitors, halo effects, cannibalization from other companies, and the elasticity of the demand. And with all these step 2 and 3 together, we go to the step 4, in which we create a model, to the optimization model, to find what is the best place and solution to reallocate or create new stores. Here in the step 2, that's a predictive model, we use a light GBM in Vertex AI, deployed in Vertex AI, and in the 4th optimizer, we use a gravity model, also deployed in Vertex AI. In the 5th step, we started the final process to understand, okay, what we did, it works or not. So we decided to open 3 stores in which we pilot if it's working or not the results of our predictive model. And in this validation side, we also double check some golden rules, and at the end we could compare in the last step the result of these new stores opened by our model versus the other stores that we had in place. We got like 86% of accuracy, and this was very good and give a green light to go ahead. What are the benefits that we reach? So first, I will summarize in 3 big benefits. The first one is regarding scalability. We could calculate it for the whole Brazil. As I mentioned, it's more than 4,000 stores. Accuracy, because we could look inside small towns, and efficiency. We are efficient to recalculate and rethink again quickly and taking fast decisions, right? And about the results. So, As the green light of the pilot, we go through 2023, open more than 100 stores based in our model. This is the best result of open a store in the last 10 years of the company. We are very safe about what we are going. We also find more than 500 potential locations to open or reallocate the store from one place to another. And the most important, our return of investments, the ROI, are greater than 108%. So comparing with the other stores that we didn't have before this project, right? Talking about the GCP architecture, as I mentioned in the beginning, we use most of the tools that Vincent and Firat just mentioned here, since the ingestion and the storage of the data and the deliverable of the value with machine learning and analytics. I believe that one of the most advice that I would like to leave here is to give good results of data business cases. I should invest in 3 components, like first, a good data engineer team to make reliable and single source data, the first part. The second, in a data science team, and invest in the data science team not at the end of the project, not even in the middle, it should be the beginning, as Firat mentioned. And the third one is the system. You needed a system end-to-end process to put all these people together to work and make the delivery faster and quickly for the company to take good business decisions, right? So this is the example so far. Vincent, I believe that you're going to finish the presentation.